celebration of the 20th anniversary of the FAO Global Important Agricultural Heritage Systems Program. It's a mouthful, so we will call it GIAHS, as you all know it, GIAHS. My name is Yasmina Bouzian from the Office of Communications at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. So thank you all for joining me. I'm sure all of you are very well aware of what GIAHS is, but I would like to really make a point to say that they are unique agricultural systems, rich in agrobiodiversity, cultures, traditional knowledge, and practices. And they really embody the sustainable relationship between people and environment. So FAO's GIAHS aim to not only recognize the stunning landscapes and seascapes, which you will all see later on today, but also the traditional and innovative methods that ensure rural livelihoods and resilience. And the ultimate goal of GIAHS is really to achieve sustainable rural development through dynamic conservation approaches. So thank you again for being with us, for sharing this 20th anniversary. And just to do a little bit of housekeeping, I know we tested everybody's microphones before who will be in this morning for Rome session. Please know that you have simultaneous interpretation in the 6 FAO languages. At the bottom of this platform, you'll find the little globe down here, and you can click the channel that suits you best. So today's anniversary of the FAO GIAHS is organized in 2 parts. This morning, we have a high-level segment with representatives from 10 countries, followed by a technical session this afternoon or later on in your day. And you'll have a chance to hear a lot more directly about experiences of GIAHS sites around the world, and you'll be able to exchange with people. So for our first starting segment, to launch this 20th anniversary of GIAHS, we have a video which is done by a video artist called Francesca Lolli. It features a number of beautiful images that are from farming communities that work around the GIAHS site, because as we said before, it is about people and environment. So I'm going to hand over to Davide, who's going to play the video for you. What wonderful images. It already gives you a little bit of taste of what you will actually be seeing and celebrating today throughout the day. So now to launch and to officially open the ceremony, it's my pleasure to share with you the message for this occasion from FAO's Director General, Chu Dong-yu.
Today, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the FAO GIAHS program. For centuries, farming has been adapted to the challenging geographic and climate conditions to feed the communities worldwide in harmony with the environment. Such traditional systems have formed a resilient and sustainable agriculture, providing food security and ecosystem conservation. To recognize the safeguard and value this agri-food system, FAO launched the GIAHS program 20 years ago. This pioneering initiative paid tribute to the unique landscapes, agrobiodiversity, traditional knowledge, and culture around the world by designating sites that meet the strict criteria established by a scientific advisory group. As the rural community face ever-increasing challenges from the impact of the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, and socio-economic inequalities. The GIAHS program looks to boost the livelihood of small-scale farmers, promote agritourism alongside the local products and cultures, to conserve biodiversity, create green agro jobs, and empower women and youth. And I'm pleased that each year we are growing from the strength to strength, with nearly 70 GIAHS sites in 22 countries across the region, and 20 more new proposals are under evaluation. GIAHS site brings a richer diversity of the nutritious food and diets for the health people and the health planet. The inclusive approaches that define those sites are effective and innovative tools and methods for sustainable rural development. And the GIAHS network have proven to be an effective model for collaboration at all levels. With appropriate local governance systems, attracting partnerships, joint project, win-win partnerships, and actions to support the farmers on the ground. None of this could have been achieved alone. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the support FAO members, to the donor countries like China, Italy, Japan, and Spain. By protecting and sustainably developing traditional agricultural heritage systems, combining science and innovation, GIAHS can contribute to the successful implementation of the FAO Strategy Framework 2022-31 in support of the SDGs. For the transformation of a global agri-food system to be more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. And to achieve the four betters: better protection, better nutrition, a better environment, a better life for all, leaving no one behind. Congratulations on the first 20 successful years of GIAHS, and to many more to come. Thank you.
So we thank the Director General for his message on this occasion, and unfortunately he could not be with us, but does hold all of the GIAHS sites and program in his heart, and as well all those who are to come. We keep our fingers crossed on that. I now have the pleasure to introduce Her Excellency Leila Shekhawi, who is the Minister of Environment of Tunisia, who has sent us a message on this occasion.
Monsieur le Directeur Général de la FAO, Mesdames,
Director General of the FAO, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, it is an honor to take part in this celebration of the 20th anniversary of the globally important agricultural heritage systems, the GIAHS. And I would like to thank FAO for all the efforts that have been made to protect and enhance the value of these agricultural systems that are rich in knowledge. Biodiversity in Tunisia is a great asset to our country, more than 80 species and 1,400 varieties, but it is subject to pressure. Over decades, know-how linked to conservation and development of biodiversity in Tunisia have been maintained and supported thanks to traditional modes of production in the framework of family farms, chiefly aiming at self-sufficiency. The main local varieties of plants and animals have been developed and conserved up to our day, thanks to the vital role they play in the economic and social life, enabling the self-sufficiency of our local communities in both quantity and quality. The sustainability of this practical knowledge and this traditional know-how is linked to the use and enhancement of the value of our local agro-biodiversity. Therefore, conservation and promotion are ensured, and the knowledge linked to that is perpetuated in our GIAHS systems. And the GIAHS system have an adequate framework in Tunisia with measures to promote agro-biodiversity having been taken. From a strategic point of view, our National Plan for Biodiversity 2018-2030 has set the objective of creating 5 GIAHS sites by 2030. 3 have already been certified. The objective aims at supporting the traditional knowledge as well as innovation to promote conservation and safeguard biodiversity for the benefit of the conservation and use of biodiversity, in line with the Aichi Target 18 adopted in the additional Nagoya Protocol to the Convention on Biodiversity. Progress has also been registered in the implementation of the GIAHS program through the establishment of a national commission for GIAHSs with representatives from the Ministry for the Environment, of Agriculture, Tourism, Culture and Scientific Research, as well as a number
nationale en faveur de la promotion de ces systèmes, en vue d'assurer leur développement et leur pérennité. Et ce, à travers le passage d'une simple initiative à un programme national intégré dans la stratégie nationale.
In the adoption of an integrated program in our national biodiversity plan. We hope that the global GIAHS program will benefit from additional support so that it may contribute to conservation and enhancement of the value of biodiversity, and also deal with the impact of a man-made influence and climate change in terms of conservation and food security. We hope that joining efforts and a solid international partnership can strengthen the GIAHS system and save these national assets for the benefit of the future generations. Thank you.
We thank Her Excellency for this intervention and for the way forward that she has laid out for us with regards to how Tunisia is going forward. I see now that it is my pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency Mashimba Mashauri Nkaki, who is the Minister of Livestock and Fisheries of Tanzania, and who is with us in presence today. So, Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson, distinguished participants. I'm very much pleased to participate in today's event as the Food and Agriculture Organization is marking its 20th anniversary of engaging in globally important agriculture heritage systems. I would like to commend FAO, particularly Tanzania's office, for its active participation in the management and improvement of Engaresero GIAHS site located in Ngorongoro district in Arusha region. Very much convinced that this forum will not only provide the opportunity for participants to engage in GIAHS activities, but also share experiences, best practices in livestock sector at large. Livestock sector continues to play an important role in contributing to my country's economic growth and economic development to individual Tanzanians, particularly those who are living in the rural areas. Available data indicates that during the financial year 2020-2021, the livestock sector contributed 7% of the gross domestic product, with about 2.7 million households, equivalent to 35% of total agricultural households engaging and earning their living through livestock production. As per Tanzania Agriculture and Livestock Census in 2021, the livestock population stands at 35.3 million cattle, 25.4 million goats, and 8.8 million sheep. As a result, various interventions are being implemented to meet livestock population, including grazing areas improvement, a way of earth dams construction, as well as borehole digging. Honorable Chairperson, the Ngasero Global Important Agriculture Heritage System site covers an area of 14,036 square kilometers. The site is crucial to pastoralists and wildlife during dry season, when water is scarce on the other side of Ngasero escarpment. Despite registered achievements, challenges still persist in the area. Among the challenges includes frequent drought and low productivity of livestock, which lead to food insecurity, livestock diseases, and eventually price fluctuations in the markets. We also experience inadequate extension services, inadequate financial and capital, but also land alienation, different land use plans, and the break of reciprocity, which causes cattle grazing cycle incomplete. And finally, we have challenges related to inadequate pasture seeds. Various strategies by Tanzania government in collaboration with other stakeholders, including FAO, are being implemented to ensure sustainability of Ngasero site. Those activities includes legal protection under grazing land and animal feed resources, electronic identification, registration, and traceability of livestock, aiming to control unregulated movement of livestock into the site. Improving livestock and pasture productivity and conservation through mass artificial insemination and pasture field school within the livestock grazing area is another strategy that we are employing to improve the condition, but also we are improving access to water supplies in the area, especially during dry season. Moreover, formation and breeding capacity for livestock water infrastructure management committees. We also build the capacity across the community, local and central government staff, and we also consistently create awareness through different methods that we are using. So, Chairperson, before I conclude my remarks, I would wish to take this opportunity to assure you in my country, to assure you of my government commitment to continue engaging FAO in improving the livestock sector in my country and elsewhere. I would wish to welcome you all to visit Tanzania and explore investment opportunities available in the livestock sector, such as dairy, meat, leather, and animal feed, as well as you could enjoy the natural beauty of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Asante Sana, Excellence Ndaki. It is a pleasure to hear your intervention, both on the achievements, the challenges, and the ways that you're trying to improve certain areas and certain issues within the GIAHS sites in Tanzania. So thank you again, Asante Sana.
Thank you, thank you. And because I'm engaged with other activities shortly, I may be leaving the site, and so thank you. Yeah.
We completely understand. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us and sharing with us the various aspects of the GIAHS sites in Tanzania. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asante Sana.
It is now my pleasure to hand the floor to Her Excellency Jacqueline Yunga, who is the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Kenya to FAO, who will be making a speech on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives of Kenya. We understand that currently there is a shuffle going on, and that you have kindly come to tell us on behalf of the ministry about the GIAHS sites in Kenya. Thank you for being with us, Ambassador.
Hello, can you hear me?
Please, the floor is yours. Over to you.
Thank you very much for the moderator. Thank you very much, DG FAO Dong-Yu, for your remarks, early remarks. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Let me begin by congratulating FAO leadership and FAO fraternity for organizing this 20th GIAHS anniversary and for bringing together all these remarkable participants to celebrate this significant day of all GIAHS around the world and their communities. As already mentioned, I'm presenting this statement on behalf of my Minister for Agriculture, Livestock and Rural Development, because we are still going through a transition, and I hope I'll do a good job on his behalf. It is therefore an honor for me to represent one of the first countries, Kenya being one of the first countries who joined the program in 2011 with the designation of Oldonyonike, Olkeri, Maasai Pastoralist Heritage System. Indeed, some 1,000 years, the Maasai in southern Kenya and northern Tanzania have developed and maintained a highly flexible and sustainable livestock keeping system, moving herds and people in harmony with nature, with nature's pattern. I applaud their customary institutions for collectively managing livestock, pastures, water, forest, and other natural resources. And this is combined with a vast traditional knowledge and strong cultural traditions on treating nature with respect, which have created and maintained one of Africa's most iconic landscapes, teeming with wildlife. These systems are important because they show us examples of remarkable resilience and capacity to adapt to climatic and other environmental fluctuations. Indeed, many pastoralist cultures embody strong conservation values reflected in and reproduced in community customary laws and institutions. There's cosmologies and religious practices, as well as stories, songs, riddles, and other respects of their cultural heritage. Therefore, Maasai pastoralism, as practiced traditionally, provides an outstanding example of pastoralism in East Africa and continues to have relevance for the sustainable management of its rangelands. However, these systems are also at the front line of global challenges. It is for this reason that the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock Development in 2011 engaged in the Global Importance Agricultural Heritage Systems Program to explore innovative approaches and solutions to support its indigenous and rural communities. This has been a rich and profitable experience for our country. Indeed, after its designation 10 years ago, an action plan to safeguard the historic, inherently sustainable pastoral system of Maasai has been implemented through a wide range of concrete actions in the following fields. One, indigenous communities have been strengthened through the establishment of capacity building, community groups, and community-based organizations. Two, concrete support to herders has been provided through livestock restocking and pasture conservation. Women have been supported as well through trainings and capacity building activities to promote handcrafts enterprises. Three, sustainable tourism activities have also been proposed through the establishment of cultural museum and community-based activities. Ladies and gentlemen, with the launch of GIAHS program in 2002, FAO sent a strong message to the world worth remembering today. We need to recognize the role of indigenous and traditional communities through their invaluable knowledge and agricultural systems, which they have developed over time. They are only not a living example of resilience and adaptation, but they also need our support to continue evolving and inspiring us in such challenging times we find ourselves in. It is therefore our desire to see the GIAHS movement continue to expand worldwide and to see that the GIAHS community's global network is catalyzed. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of Kenya, I hope this event will mark a turning point for GIAHS programs. As I conclude, I trust that GIAHS will continue its growth by gaining traction and active support from more countries. We need to recall that it is our responsibility today to make sure our children inherit a planet where humans can live in harmony with nature, and to emphasize that GIAHS are not a utopia, but a living example that we need to emulate. I thank you very much, moderator, and back to you, Yasmina.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for that contribution on behalf of the ministry. Aksanti Sana. We're pleased to have this opportunity to hear the specifics about the GIAHS sites in Kenya. And as you just said, the symbiotic relationship between people and planet, which is critical. These 20 years anniversary is an excellent moment to be celebrating that and to be pondering on that. So with that, I would like to now go to His Excellency Tetsuro Nomura, who is the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries of Japan, who has sent us a message.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished delegates and participants. My name is Tetsuro Nomura, Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries, Japan. I extend my heartfelt congratulations on this grand celebration of the 20th anniversary of the globally important Agricultural Heritage Systems Program. I would like to express my deep respect for efforts of FAO and all the people concerned around the world, which have contributed to the expansion of the GIAHS program throughout the world over the last 20 years. While various environmental burdens caused by excessive use of pesticides and fertilizers, loss of biodiversity, and greenhouse gas emissions have become international problems in recent years, the establishment of GIAHS in 2002 is very splendid in view of the future of the Earth. Last year, Japan launched a strategy for sustainable food systems called Midori and has been working to reduce the use of chemical fertilizers and promote organic farming. We believe that GIAHS is one form of sustainability that embodies the goal of the strategy. In Japan, we have 13 GIAHS designated sites so far. Last year, We held the International Conference on GIAHS 2021 in the Noto Peninsula in Ishikawa Prefecture, which was one of the first designated sites in Japan to raise awareness of GIAHS and to promote cooperation among designated sites. In addition, Japan has supported the promotion of GIAHS designation through FAO activities, such as inviting stakeholders from countries with high interest in GIAHS to designated sites in Japan. These activities have been successful and contributed to the designation of the first GIAHS site in Brazil in 2020. We will continue to support the promotion of GIAHS designation throughout the world. Japan has long been engaged in various types of agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, based on its undulating topographic conditions and distinctive fall seasons. It is also characterized by frequent natural disasters such as typhoons and earthquakes. Therefore, we have also established a designation program called Japanese Nationally Important Agricultural Heritage Systems, or GIAHS, which has our own additional evaluation criteria, such as resilience to natural disasters. The number of sites involved in this program is increasing, and currently there are 22 sites designated as GIAHS. Such domestic activities on GIAHS and GIAHS have produced wonderful effects, such as making local residents proud of their own region, maintaining the agricultural systems, as well as adding values to the products and promoting exchanges with urban areas. We will continue to promote the conservation and development of designated sites and their inheritance to the next generation by disseminating the importance of the value of GIAHS sites. I strongly hope that this ceremony will lead to the further development of GIAHS and the realization of sustainable agriculture. I would like to conclude with my best wishes for the success of this ceremony. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister,
we thank the minister for that intervention and for all of the details about the sites and the new initiatives that Japan has been undertaking. It's now a pleasure for us to see a message sent by His Excellency Wilbert Gabriel Rosa Beltran, who is the Minister of Environment of Peru.
Estimado Ku Dong-yu,
Distinguished Chu Dong-yu, Director General of the FAO, distinguished Ministers of the Agriculture and Environment joining us today, and members of the general public, warm greetings from the government of Peru. We wish to thank the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, for inviting us to take part in the 20th anniversary of the globally important agricultural heritage systems, GIAHS. Greetings to all of those who have joined us to take part in this important event in which we pay tribute to the hard work of our people in their efforts to achieve competitive agriculture, which also promotes sustainable rural development and the conservation of our agrobiodiversity, highlighting the value of the traditional knowledge and practices of our indigenous peoples. When we talk about feeding the world, no one is more deserving of recognition than farmers and families working in the fields. Men and women who not only produce most of the food we eat in our country, but who, on top of this, provide nutritional food which boost our health. We've learned from past and present experience that our native products, such as potatoes, quinoa, and other Andean tubers and grains, can fight hunger and provide food solutions, even in adverse environmental conditions. The Peruvian government has been working to preserve and enhance the natural assets of our country. biodiversity, which is the result of thousands of years of domestication of our native products by our communities. Peru was recognized as a country of origin and domestication for food and agriculture. And this recognition was one of the main reasons that led to one of the first GIAHS sites being declared in 2011 in Peru, the Cusco-Puno corridor, which is a testament to the biodiversity and cultural richness of our country. The Cusco-Puno corridor is an articulated system in which for over 5,000 years, the local population have preserved traditional knowledge and practices in terms of water management, soil management, vegetation and crops, as well as promoting biological diversity in our high Andean ecosystems. Through the National Institute for Agricultural Innovation, with the Ministry of Agriculture, Peru has been recognizing agrobiodiversity areas. Indigenous peoples living in these areas develop, manage, and preserve the genetic resources of our agrobiodiversities. The Ministry for the Environment, alongside the Ministry of Agriculture, and through the GIAHS Agrobiodiversity Project, in collaboration with the FAO, has been undertaking efforts to ensure in situ conservation of age-old agrobiodiversity. We have been contributing to sustainable development in our country, showcasing the role of farmers in the high Andes area when it comes to biodiversity preservation. In Peru, we wish to raise awareness and encourage citizens to appreciate and consume real and authentic food, food which has been produced with love by the hands of our brothers and sisters working in the fields, using sustainable systems with a low environmental footprint, with agroecological practices ensuring healthy diets, rich and nutritional food, which also contributes to the well-being of consumers and preservation of the environment. We congratulate the FAO on its 20th anniversary, and we wish the program every success in fostering sustainable social development and cultural relevance, spreading best practices for food sovereignty and security in our countries.
Siempre con el pueblo. Gobierno del Perú. Bicentenario del Perú, 2024.
We thank the Minister of Peru. Muchas gracias to him for that intervention. And indeed, we have only one planet, and GIAHS are extremely important to preserving that. And with that, dear guests, we're going to go into another really wonderful film about the global important agricultural heritage systems and what it really means to people, the environment, food systems around the world.
Years ago, our ancestors started growing crops and raising livestock, which led to a change in our relationship with nature. Instead of constantly foraging for food, we learned how to work with land, water, and the elements around us to grow everything we needed to thrive. By keeping a harmonic relationship with our environment and the natural resources that surrounded us. More recently, we've made drastic changes to our lifestyles. Scientific and technological progress allowed us to gradually produce more food, yet more food production often comes at a price. How can we conserve the traditional systems for the sustainable use of biodiversity and natural resources? To recognize traditional agriculture's invaluable role in contributing to resilient and sustainable agri-food systems, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, launched the Globally Important Agricultural Heritage Systems, GIAHS program. The program aims to identify and conserve agricultural heritage systems based on a dynamic conservation approach, raise awareness about their global importance, and find ways to incorporate innovative actions to help strengthen and address current current threats and challenges. So far, FAO has officially recognized over 60 GIAHS sites in more than 20 countries. Each of these systems supports the livelihoods of the local community, works in harmony with its environment by promoting biodiversity, uses traditional knowledge and local customs for food production through ecosystem conservation and sustainable resource management, nurtures specific cultures and social institutes, and has shaped remarkable landscapes. Through dynamic conservation actions and a holistic and future-oriented approach, GIAHS promotes sustainable agritourism, branding and marketing of local products, agrobiodiversity, and empowers women and youth. Best practices and lessons learned from GIAHS sites can help accelerate the transformation to more efficient, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable agri-food systems while leaving no one behind. Thousands of years.
So a very important video actually that puts everything together about the different GIAHS sites, how we got to establishing GIAHS sites and giving us also more of an understanding of what the concept is and the future oriented approach, sustainability, resilience, people and planet together. So with that, it's a pleasure for me now to give the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Guan Defu, who is the permanent representative of the People's Republic of China to FAO. Ambassador, please, the floor is yours.
好，谢谢。哎，声音呢？哎，我把那个调上。
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Yes, please, the floor is yours. We can
Can
hear
you hear me?
好，可以听到，好，谢谢。谢谢主持人。
Thank you very much.
各位阁下，女士们
I thank the moderator, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good day. On behalf of the Chinese government, I wish to extend our warmest congratulations to the FAO on its 20th anniversary of globally important agricultural heritage systems. Agricultural heritage is a precious treasure shared by all humankind, and it contains the experience and wisdom of ancient farming civilizations. It ensures food security, improving the livelihoods of small farmers, coping with climate change, and protecting biodiversity. It has played a vital role in promoting sustainable agricultural development and rural prosperity worldwide. Since the FAO launched the GIAHS in 2002, China has responded positively to the initiative and was one of the first countries to participate in it. China has always been a staunch supporter and a promoter of this initiative and stands ready to contribute to it. China attaches great importance to the protection and the transmission of agricultural heritage, insisting on the protection of this heritage, preserving landscapes, traditional know-how and knowledge, fostering streamlined use of agricultural systems. China has 18 globally important agricultural heritage sites, and the Chinese Ministry of Agriculture has identified 138 national important agricultural heritage sites and 408 agricultural production systems with conservation of value. In July this year, China responded to FAO's initiative to celebrate the 20th anniversary of GIAHS and co-hosted with Italy, Peru, Korea, Thailand, Iran, Japan, Tanzania, a conference on GIAHS in Qingtian in Zhejiang to promote common important agricultural heritage systems with a holistic approach launching a platform to facilitate exchanges. More than 200 representatives from 32 countries and international organizations attended the conference in hybrid format. The Director General of the FAO delivered a video message at the conference. This message was welcomed by 32 countries and international organizations. The President Xi Jinping sent a congratulatory letter to the conference, stressing the need to continuously promote the conservation practices of agricultural heritage in order to further implement the 2030 agenda and promote the building of a community of human destiny. This fully reflects the importance the Chinese government attaches to the protection of agricultural heritage and its determination to contribute to the development of the GIAHS program. The 30th anniversary of the Communist Party has highlighted the commitment to promoting these agricultural heritage systems. And in an open spirit of cooperation, China stands ready to implement effective measures to strengthen the protection of agricultural heritage. China will continue to support the GIAHS program and through excellence centers in China. In July, China announced that it would mobilize, alongside the FAO, $7 million to train over 1,000 managers and to create an excellence center for GIAHS in China. We stand ready to work with our partners to strengthen exchanges among civilizations to promote age-old agricultural practices. I wish you every success in this celebration. Thank you very much for your attention.
Ambassador, thank you very much for your intervention and also for that offer of sharing knowledge. That is one of the key aspects of GIAHS and the various programs at FAO. It's about sharing knowledge and being able to learn from one another. It is now with great pleasure that I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Bruno Archi, who is the permanent representative of the Republic of Italy to FAO. Prego, Ambasciatore, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, dear Director General, ladies and gentlemen. That's a great day for FAO and GIAHS today, and my most heartfelt congratulations on this important anniversary. First of all, I'd like to mark this. We are in the wake of important days and outstanding events, in the wake of the inauguration of the World Food Day, a couple of weeks ago, and we are going on marking every day very important results reached by FAO and in this occasion today by GIAHS. 20 years is indeed a real milestone, and I do believe it's worthwhile celebrating these events, being, let's say, even being aware that we live, unfortunately, in very dangerous and challenging times. And we do need to work even harder to protect our small planet, preserve its natural resources, and ensure a sustainable future for everybody. And I have to say that GIAHS work means exactly this and goes precisely into this direction. We as Italy, we are fully committed to make food systems resilient and sustainable. We work relentlessly both at national and international level. I just want to mention our G20 presidency last year and the upcoming Italian presidency of the G7. In this framework, of course, mentioning first of all our G20 presidency, we reached really outstanding results and a very important confirmation thanks to our Matera declaration, which was really a primary meeting dedicated on agriculture, food systems, resiliency, and above all, food security. Or I should say now, much more than ever, food insecurity due to the unfortunate war that broke out months ago between Russia and Ukraine. But of course, we do believe that Italy will remain fully committed to these outstanding goals, even preparing its important year in 2024, which will mark our G7 presidency. In this week, we co-host the Food Systems BRICS Summit in Rome last year. We concretely support the FSS Coordination Hub and successfully coordinate the Italian National Food Transformation Table. Furthermore, we took action by founding the Alliance for the Mediterranean Diet. We believe that a Mediterranean diet, through its inclusive approach to the management of the territory and its resources, as well as its food production and consumption pattern, is an important reference model for the world, for the entire world. Healthy diets and traditional diets provide sustainable and balanced nutrients and ensure the preservation of fundamental cultural heritage. SDG 2 Zero Hunger is a challenging objective and target that we can still win and reach by reducing waste and growing food in a more responsible, above all, in a more responsible way. Bearing always in mind that it's not a surprise that Italy is a staunch support of GIAHS and its activities. And I have to say that since 2018, we host 2 GIAHS sites. And I would like to remember which they are. First, the olive groves of the slope between Assisi and Spoleto, and second, the Soave traditional vineyards. And there is even a next one in line, which is the lemon gardens and the terrace agricultural system over the Amalfi coast. And both Italian GIAHS sites are historically and archaeologically relevant and beautiful to be visited indeed. They are both certified DOC, which stands for Protected Denomination of Origins, which is a European Union system certificating the high quality of the product and ensuring a specific way of cultivation and making process. We do need to assure the consumer about the product he buys, ensure a greater profit for the farmer, promote and certify the quality of the product through the strict observance of the production regulation, and organize as well a structured sales chain. By doing this, we ensure agrobiodiversity, in fact, existence of a significant number of diverse plants of the Mediterranean fosters the preconditions for the creation of a multitude of habits for animals. We do need to enhance local and traditional knowledge systems because they play a very important and active role for the ecosystem of soils and landscape management. Sharing the knowledge is a great way to defend against hydrological risks and an efficient system for the preservation of water and soil. I just mentioned cultural heritage already, and I would like to go back to this point as a sustainable food system, which means also by community values and social organizations. Oil and wine have always been typical of those agricultural landscapes, their peoples, eating habits, and their cultural and religious symbolism since ancient times. Dedicated festivals and events fuel tourism and spread a more sustainable way to experience territories and its value. GIAHS enhances all of these lines of action, and we thank the program for its commitment. GIAHS and FAO are privileged partners for Italy along this various path. Please do count on us always, simply always, as we are determined to keep doing our part to achieve Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you all.
Grazie, Ambassador Arki, for that. We indeed, as you were saying, have to work hard to preserve our one planet and its people. And indeed, GIAHS can be part of the answer to this. I think all of the colleagues here listening to today's webinar are also very keen on having the transcript of all of the interventions that will happen this morning. So the GIAHS team will be able to provide that on its website. So our next speaker in this list is Mr. Juan Prieto Gomez, who is the Deputy Permanent Representative, Permanent Mission of Spain to FAO. So Mr. Gomez, por favor, the floor is yours.
Estimado Director General, Dr. Chu Dong-yu, estimada
Director General, Dr. Chu Dong-yu,
excelentísimos señores ministros, restos de autoridad.
Ms. Helena Semedo, ministers who are following this important meeting.
Disculpen, estoy oyendo la propia traducción.
I apologize, but I'm hearing an echo. I'm hearing the interpretation at the same time that I'm speaking, says the speaker.
Mr. Pietro, if you would go to the bottom of the screen where it says interpretation and just have the original, the first line, just so that you don't have the interpreter in your ear.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Thank you. Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you very much and sorry for the inconvenience. Estimado Director General,
ministers and all authorities from all latitudes and longitudes from our common home, the land. I would like, first of all, to convey to you the warm greetings of the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food of the Kingdom of Spain, Mr. Luis Planas Puchades, who would have liked to be here on this important event, but his agenda unfortunately did not make it possible. And therefore I have the immense honor of representing Spain in this event. On the coming into being of this extremely important system, the GIAHS system. And today we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of this very relevant and very necessary initiative. And Spain wishes the GIAHS system a fruitful, prolonged, and prosperous future. Now, GIAHS was launched by FAO as a global initiative during the World Summit on Sustainable Development that was held in Johannesburg in 2002. From the very beginning, the number of agricultural systems that have been recognized as GIAHS has gradually increased to 67 in 22 different countries. But they belong to all of humanity because of their immense agronomic, agricultural, landscape, genetic, cultural, and anthropological value for the international community as a whole. And now we're living in a time in which it seems that there are many global threats over food security and the triple environmental, social, and economic sustainability of global food production. And now it is especially important and necessary to recognize those systems that are sustainable in a triple way through the combination of many different values and services that are both agronomic, agri-food, ecological, social, cultural, and economic. It's necessary to recognize this, also considering the societies and the peoples who have maintained these spaces. And this has led to greater visibility and the reputation, the well-deserved reputation of them, but also for the educational value of these sites, the model that they can offer. We have to give value to those forms of production and traditional forms of knowledge that have been able to adapt, yes, to changing circumstances and apply new techniques, but without losing their essence. GIAHS are first and foremost living systems, and they are resilient, in which men and women have the responsibility of feeding the world, and they live and work and make progress in harmony, dynamic and balanced harmony with their environment. It's not a matter of preserving a heritage of the past. It's not a museum, not of residual importance. It means recognizing the current value and the example that the GIAHS has set for the world as systems guaranteeing sustainable development. And we should not overlook the existing threats to the different food systems as a whole, such as urbanization, such as a loss in decision-making power of local communities compared to the urban communities, or the undeniable climate change and its consequence, amongst many others. And that is why it is very important that we have the GIAHS at a global level, and that we advocate for their gradual growth and recognition on a global scale. For a number of reasons. First, because they enable the sustainable exploitation of living territories. Then their traditional landscapes of unique beauty can become drivers of rural development and sustainable and respectful tourism. Then because they enable the promotion and recognition of the value of these different food products. They can conserve biodiversity and genetic richness, and also help to preserve the historic and artistic heritage, because this is a form of recognition that is perfectly compatible with another recognition that dates back to older times and has more social visibility, such as the UNESCO system of heritage sites. And this can link the concept of conservation of nature with the preservation of cultural sites. My country has the explicit support of Spain, and this is not only through our annual contribution to the system and development of this system and our participation in different fora, but also, I would say, first and foremost, through the network of GIAHS that we have. And Spain has the honor of being the country of Europe with the greatest number of GIAHS recognized to date, a total of 4. And they all are the agronomic, landscape, and cultural reflection of our country, Spain, which has the greatest biodiversity and landscape richness and diversity in Europe. Due to our very steep mountains and climate variety, we have a system of 500,000 of kilometers squared of different ecosystems. They can be Mediterranean, Atlantic, continental, subtropical, high mountain, steppe, desert, and floodplains, amongst others. All of this has made it possible for Spain to incorporate 4 different GIAHS spaces of very great importance: a salt production agricultural system of the so-called Valle Salado of Anana, that's in the Basque countries, the agricultural system for the production of raisins of Ajarquía in Andalusia, and then also the Senya territory, the regions of Valencia, Aragon, and Catalonia, and the famous Huerta de Valencia, an area of market gardens near the town. We also have other important candidates, which we hope will soon join the list. I will not give their names yet, out of respect for the Scientific Advisory Committee of GIAHS. And I would like to take this opportunity also to thank them for their work over 2 decades in selecting those unique sites that are of global interest and that can set an example for many other societies of our planet. And I'll conclude this statement emphasizing the important collaborative character of the GIAHS network, which must be increasingly dynamic and interrelated and serve as an example and a benchmark for the world. And Spain is working to support the GIAHS in coordination with FAO. We are well aware of the fact that obtaining the recognition of a new GIAHS over and beyond the just recognition to those who live in that site is not an end to itself. It's a tool for international collaboration. Obtaining it is not the end of the path, it's the beginning of a new path. And we trust in FAO's cooperation in that. Today, more than ever before in the past, it's important to have these sites on a global scale because of their inestimable contribution to environmental, social, and economic sustainability of their respective food systems. They're resilient, they're based on family economy, family farming, and respect for the objectives of sustainable development. And for these reasons, this initiative deserves to enjoy greater visibility and recognition by the society. And therefore, on this 20th anniversary, Spain would like to wish long and prosperous life to all of the GIAHS in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prieto Gomez. Indeed, muchas gracias. We can hear you, and we hear that humanity is the one that benefits from the GIAHS sites around the world, and they can lead to sustainability and hopefully to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goal. They're a big part of it, and we only have 8 years to achieve those. So thank you all, and thank you to all of our guests this morning for their interventions. And I would now like to give the floor to Ms. Naima Farhat, who is the researcher head of the Research Results Valorization Department and National GIAHS Focal Point at the Institute of Agronomic Research in Algeria. Marhaba, tfaddali, the floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour. Bonjour tout le monde. Donc, Monsieur le ministre de l'Agriculture et ministre de l'Agriculture et du Développement rural.
Good morning. I apologize for not being able to be there amongst you, but I would like to congratulate you for the organization of this event. I would like to introduce myself very briefly. And I'm representing the minister here. Now, the different systems have been recognized by FAO and in our country, and our country has realized the importance of safeguarding these assets for the present and future generations. Unfortunately, the sound does not enable interpretation.
Au niveau du Sahara algérien représente une grande ressource. Néanmoins, ce système route, pour ce système route, une menace très importante, d'où la promulgation de cet arrêté. Aussi la duplication de manière moderne de ce système intégré au sein du Sahara, ainsi que qui est une opportunité pour développer une agriculture durable sans détruire toutes les ressources naturelles existantes. Donc, l'engagement de l'Algérie est pris pour élargir cette expérience vers d'autres sites pour une inscription municipale. Comme vous le savez, l'étendue de l'Algérie cache des sites très diversifiés au niveau des différentes zones agroécologiques. Et donc, une liste de sites a déjà été identifiée. Le gouvernement algérien a développé des politiques nationales de développement qui s'inscrivent en droite ligne avec les principes du CIPAL. À titre d'exemple, nous avons un programme de préservation des oasis et des ressources, la préservation des patrimoines matériels et immatériels.
Unfortunately, the sound quality does not enable interpretation, and the interpretations do not have this text.
Madame Naima, est-ce que vous pouvez parler plus proche du micro? Il paraît que le son n'est pas bon pour la traduction.
Il y a un problème, désolé. Et là, c'est mieux?
Merci. Let me ask the interpreters. Is better now?
There's a very loud noise in the background, and so we cannot make out the words.
Rien? Toujours rien?
Non.
Un bruit de fond.
Ah, désolé. Attends, peut-être ça va aller mieux. Et comme ça va mieux? Non?
Il y a un bruit de fond, mais moi je peux vous entendre. Peut-être si vous élevez la voix, ça sera mieux. Merci beaucoup.
D'accord. Donc, je reprends les programmes, les politiques de développement national. Donc, le programme de préservation des oasis et des ressources la présentation du patrimoine matériel et immatériel, notamment les savoir-faire ancestraux, qui ont contribué et qui contribuent à la sécurité alimentaire et dans lesquels nous pouvons puiser pour apporter des solutions au changement climatique dont nous souffrons aujourd'hui, dont la planète souffre aujourd'hui. L'intérêt porté à l'agriculture familiale dans les zones agroécologiques, notamment les oasis et les montagnes, préservation et valorisation de l'agrobiodiversité, et enfin, la mise en place d'un système de labellisation pour la préservation des produits locaux. La conjugaison de ces aux différentes problématiques ferait certainement d'un appel à la communauté internationale afin de le traduire en projet régional pour un échange d'expériences et d'expertise. En conclusion, nous tenons à remercier la FAO pour sa disponibilité et saluer tous les efforts fournis en nous accompagnant durant toutes ces années. Et l'initiative CIPAM, ainsi qui représente une opportunité de préservation et de valorisation pour tous ces pays qui regorgent de ces sites intéressants. Merci.
Nous vous remercions, Madame Oufrahat, pour ceci. Thank you very much.
You.
Et nous rappelons que nous allons demander à tout le monde de donner leurs interventions pour qu'on puisse les mettre sur le site du GIAHS. And just a reminder that we will be asking everybody to submit their interventions so that they will be available on the site. So you can make sure to be able to go back and read about the interventions. So now let us take just a short moment to enjoy an immense virtual experience into the GIAHS with a new video performance. We say that images are worth 1,000 words, and maybe this experience will put both the words that we heard today and the images together for a great experience. So they are beautiful, essential, useful, and harmonious and holistic for the planet. So obviously, GIAHS are the key and the answer to a better planet for all the people. So with this visual experience, it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Jeff Bress, who's Senior Communication Officer at FAO along my side, and has an exciting publication announcement that he would like to share and that he's going to explain to all of us. So Jeff, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Thank you for being with us. I have the pleasure of presenting to you the first digital publication to mark the 20th anniversary of the globally important Agricultural Heritage Systems Program of FAO. This publication is in line with FAO's Digital First strategy to make the most effective use of the digital platforms that today's technologies offer, to improve access to information and to facilitate knowledge sharing and conversations across platforms. Of course, digital first also means avoid unnecessary printing, but of course, a print version will be made available and PDF and HTML versions will also be posted. We launched the publication in English and all of the UN language versions will follow shortly. The publication is called 20 Years of Globally Important Agricultural Heritage Systems, Success Stories of Dynamic Conservation for Rural Development. It aims to tell the story of GIAHS and its communities in an innovative way and highlights the achievements of selected designated GIAHS sites since their designation. It features a foreword by our Director General Chu Dong-yu and an introduction that answers the important questions: what are the GIAHS systems and why do we need GIAHS? The publication also features success stories from GIAHS sites around the world, compelling stories of innovation rooted in tradition and communities, stories of synergies among humans, animals, and ecosystems, stories of truly marvelous diversification, and stories of the sustainable solutions we need, with important lessons that can be shared and scaled up. In Africa, we spotlight the Shimbwe Jukiamba Agroforestry Heritage Site in the United Republic of Tanzania. In Asia and the Pacific, we learn about the rice fish culture in Xinjiang County, China, and the Nishiawa steep slope land agriculture system in Japan. Moving to Europe, in Italy, we present the Suave traditional vineyards, and in Spain, the historical irrigation system at the Horta of Valencia. In Latin America and the Caribbean, we present Andean agriculture of the Cusco Puno corridor in Peru. And in Near East and North Africa, we present the story of the Oud Oasis system El Wed of Algeria. All stories provide a deeper insight into the importance of preserving traditional knowledge to conserve ecosystems. All right. To conserve ecosystems, agrobiodiversity, food security, and small-scale farmers' livelihoods. Importantly, the publication celebrates the generations of people who have continue to live in harmony with nature and the importance of safeguarding agricultural heritage around the world with GIAHS. I feel and I hope that I can say that all of us in attendance today share a passion for these geographically important agricultural heritage systems we all refer to as GIAHS, and the critical lessons they offer to help us achieve better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life for all through a dynamic conservation approach. And I also hope that you're eager to share the wonder of these truly beautiful sites with your colleagues, your teams, your professional network, even with friends and family. This digital publication really makes it easy for you to do that. We have shared the link, I think now, to the publication in the chat, and I invite you first to bookmark the link. Click on it and save it in your browser. Then share the digital publication or a link directly to your favorite success story within the publication on your social media platforms. In your post, tell people why GIAHS inspires you, and together let's spread the word and build even more support for conserving these systems around the world. Don't forget, use the hashtags agricultural heritage and GIAHS, and also tag FAO or other partners. FAO has also posted on social media, so I'll share those links with you for Twitter and LinkedIn. I'll post that in the chat. And thank you all, and hand it over to Yasmina. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for giving us a quick overview of the publication. It's important that you all go into it and delve into it and see the details of it. These are but just a few sites. As we know, there are so many more. And so therefore, this is probably just the first of the digital publications as we try our best to reduce printing and move towards digital. So thank you very much for that, Jeff. And now I give the floor to Ms. Hilda Oyeke, who is from GIAHS Scientific Advisory Group. She's a member of that, and she is now going to give us a future outlook of the GIAHS program. So we'll be right with you. We have a little technical issue. I believe Ms. Hilda is on video. So just one moment. Just trying to connect. So in the meantime, we have the Twitter link in the chat from the FAO Knowledge for the publication. And please download that, send the publication through your various different contacts, connections, and platform as we just wait a few more seconds for Ms. Oyeke's message as she's going to give us an outlook for the future of GIAHS being part of the advisory committee. And so perhaps if we can't connect right this moment with her, we will go to another set of beautiful images on video that will make us water. It's our mouths water and our eyes water out of looking at these beautiful slideshow. So Davide, over to you for the beautiful slideshow, please. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Davide, for sharing those images with us of the various GIAHS sites. As we can see, and as we saw, different topographies, different climates, all contributing again to what we heard about the planet and people all in one. I believe we might have now the video of Dr. Oyeke to be able to share with you.
Esteemed GIAHS guests, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Receive greetings from Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa, and I take this opportunity to congratulate FAO and the larger GIAHS fraternity distributed all over the world on this 20th anniversary celebration. 20 years of productive existence is not a small achievement. We are not just celebrating 20 years with nothing to show for it. There's been commendable progress, which I'm proud to be associated with as a member of the Scientific Advisory Group. As we celebrate today, these 20 years, the big questions in our minds as the Scientific Advisory Group are, one, where do we go from here? And two, where do we want to be in another 20 years to come, which we trust we shall be able to do. As we are celebrating today, we shall soon celebrate another 20 years, which now will be 40 years. The very first GIAHS site was designated in China in the year 2005. And this is an integrated system of fish and rice farming. As we celebrate today, there's been tremendous growth in the number of GIAHS sites, and not just the number, the diversity that comes along with these sites is quite great, and they are distributed all over the world. This celebration calls for a global community coming together as a result of the GIAHS activities all over. We currently have 67 sites in 22 countries, which are distributed in 5 regions globally. And out of these 67 sites, Asia and the Pacific region has the lion's share of 45 sites. Congratulations to our Asian Pacific region colleagues. These sites are distributed in 8 countries. Europe and Central Asia has 7 sites distributed in 3 countries. Africa south of Sahara region has 3 sites in 2 countries. Latin America and the Caribbean region has 4 sites in 4 countries, while Near East and North Africa has 8 sites distributed in 5 countries. As we celebrate today, there are about 10 GIAHS systems applications that are pending review and evaluation by the Secretariat and the scientific group. We trust that they will meet the standards, and we shall soon have the 10 added to a list of 67 sites so far. You may want to check out the details of each of these sites from our GIAHS website, as well as the GIAHS publication, which has been presented by the Secretariat, highlighting the achievements that we have made so far. From this list of designated sites so far, We note with concern that there are regions that are underrepresented, while some are still missing out altogether. Meaning then that GIAHS still has work ahead to rationalize, plan, strategize, and take actions as may be appropriate. For GIAHS to remain globally relevant and to continue impacting lives of communities positively, it must up its game on sites that would address more of climate change matters, eradication of hunger and poverty, in order to make its presence felt in these thematic areas. GIAHS, therefore, must make efforts to spread out its wings and penetrate regions where it is not well represented, and yet the regions are prone to poverty, are prone to malnutrition, and are prone to climate-related challenges. I'm saying this because given the systems that we have so far, we know that GIAHS can address them. GIAHS can address issues of climate change, or is already addressing in some areas. GIAHS is addressing issues of poverty through the economic activities of the communities involved. GIAHS is already addressing issues of hunger. What we are saying now is we need to penetrate and spread more into the regions that are prone to this, given their geographic location globally. Globally, there are climate resilient food crops that traditionally have been known to withstand harsh climatic conditions where some communities live in. For my country, Kenya, we have crops like cassava, sweet potatoes. We have crops like beans, soybeans. Some of these things, or these crops, have been known to help communities, especially during hard times. Unfortunately, most of these crops tend to be neglected in preference for the fast growing cash crops, and exotic for that matter, and some of which do not seem to do well in dry, harsh climatic conditions. This is where we hypothesize that GIAHS would come in with its strength on diversified farming systems, which encompasses practices that have been developed for centuries. Some of them are centuries old, of course. And these practices are using local knowledge. These practices are adapted to the prevailing environmental conditions and landscapes. These are the practices we are talking about, which GIAHS has been known to operate in and conserve. The need for diversified farming practices could never be felt more than now, when our nations are all grappling with how to achieve Agenda 2 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals on zero hunger. GIAHS' holistic approach to production and dynamic conservation. The conservation, of course, includes conservation of environmental resources, the conservation of local knowledge, the conservation of the people's cultures. All these conservation aspects that GIAHS looks at holistically, we believe is the way to go. Granted that areas designated as GIAHS quite often have diverse collection of resilient food systems, the question now arises: how can GIAHS up its game in reaching out to the needy regions. We may be aware that developing successful GIAHS proposals is a very technical, time-consuming process, which may be quite expensive for most local communities which inhabit areas that are prone to environmental degradation and loss of biodiversity, areas where food and nutrition insecurity is rampant, area where poverty is rampant. We are not saying that it will be easy for these areas to produce successful GIAHS proposals. Yet, some of them have been identified as having very wonderful areas that deserve to be GIAHS, if I may use the word. We recognize the fact that GIAHS has made great efforts to promote its program as far as it has been possible. The efforts have been possible through support from a few governments and partners. The efforts made so far include regional workshops, which have been developed and designed to create awareness among local communities, among government workers, among interested parties in the areas where they are being held. The so-called regional workshops. Then GIAHS has also participated in very high-level international training sessions that have been supported by the Chinese government, and we do appreciate their support so far. GIAHS also has participated in specialized international GIAHS graduate courses mounted by the University of Florence in Italy. And for this, we want to recognize one of our founder members, Professor Mauro, who has been in the lead at the University of Florence. Why am I referring to these efforts? This is to show that GIAHS has gone out of its way, together with our partners, to popularize GIAHS, to let the global community know what is in GIAHS and how GIAHS can be of benefit. Most of these workshops and training sessions and international graduate courses have really been international, in the sense that we have had candidates or participants from all over the world participating in all these courses and sessions and workshops. Through these efforts, many potential sites have been identified for some of the regions which we think are needy in the sense that we need more GIAHS designated in those regions. GIAHS presence is minimal, so that's what I'm defining as needy for now. The participants from these sessions have often returned to their homes with enthusiasm and great ideas that they would have loved to develop further into full proposals to submit for GIAHS evaluation. Unfortunately, most of them have lost steam along the way, despite all the training, despite all the awareness, despite all the packages that they've been provided during these sessions. They lost steam along the way, and their concepts have gone unattended. The bottleneck has been that individual countries lack the technical and financial capacity to develop successful proposals. And so when these participants go back to their countries, the environment doesn't seem to be conducive enough in terms of financial support, in terms of technical support to help them develop their concepts further. Moreover, some countries have their own priorities, which GIAHS may not be one of for the time being, but we are saying that it's high time we all started appreciating the fact that GIAHS could help us as we struggle to achieve the Agenda 2 of the UN development as needed. However, we are saying right now that in our view, with a full support from our national governments and support from development partners, it is possible to implement and promote more GIAHS sites in the needy regions as nations aspire to eradicate poverty, as we all aspire to fight climate change, and as we all aspire to get to a level where hunger will be zero. In closing, I have two appeals to make. One, we are appealing to the national governments represented in this forum, especially those from the identified needy regions, to throw their weight behind the development of potential GIAHS sites in their countries. From our experience, it has been proven that it is not possible for GIAHS to be sustained without full government support. We have also painfully learned that developing and designating GIAHS site as a one-off project-related activity is not sustainable. Some of these have failed along the way. So GIAHS is not a one-off project activity. GIAHS has to be a sustainable program supported by the government and anybody else who would come on board. And this takes me to my second appeal, which is calling upon our development partners to consider extending financial support system which could assist needy communities with potential GIAHS sites to submit their proposals for consideration. This will enable the Secretariat to draw from its network and large team of experts to offer technical support towards assisting needy countries which have identified potential sites to develop successful proposals. The fund will further enable the Secretariat to develop and implement a robust monitoring and evaluation program for the designated sites, thus keeping us informed on how they are performing. I would just like to add that this monitoring and evaluation program will be a very critical activity because it will help us and the Secretariat get to know how the sites that were designated some years back are doing. For now, we are just relying on the governments to keep everything going, and we are relying that the strategic plans are being followed the way they were presented in the proposal. But it's imperative that the Secretariat develops a system where we can actually get to, from time to time, evaluate what's going on the ground. In conclusion, we would like to emphasize that commitment must come from national governments as we seek support from our development partners for the sustainability of GIAHS programs in our countries. The need is dire. GIAHS benefits are evident. Support and resources are needed. With those remarks, I thank you all for listening to me.
We thank Dr. Oyeke of the GIAHS Scientific Advisory Group for that roadmap, highlighting where we are and where we want to be with GIAHS. I now have the pleasure to welcome FAO's Deputy Director General, Ms. Maria Elena Semedo, for the closing remarks of this high-level segment. Ms. Semedo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Yasmina. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all connected around the world, excellencies, ministers, ambassadors, distinguished delegates, colleagues, friends, dear participants. I have the honor to close the opening session of this momentous of the 20th anniversary ceremony for the globally important Heritage Systems Program. I wish to start by joining the Director General, thanking all the participants and the high-level representatives from Algeria, China, Chile, Italy, Japan, Kenya, Peru, Spain, Tanzania, and Tunisia for their continuous support to this emblematic FAO program. And I think the ones who spoke during this session show their commitment and how they are giving importance at a high level to this program. And they also share with us interesting insights, showing again the diversity of this program. It's difficult to see how is the program composed because the sites are so different. But I think this is the beauty of this program. Also, the GIAHS publication launched today compiles the success story during these 20 years of the program. And it's a nice opportunity to share what is happening around the world. Also, a special thanks to Dr. Elida Oweki, member of the Scientific Advisory Group of the GIAHS. She will be the next year chair. And she take us through the recent developments in terms of scientific assessment and providing an overview on what lies ahead. But she also showed during her speech that we have several potential sites from other regions that have been identified and making this program more global. She also made a special plea to increase the technical and financial capacity to develop new concepts and ask for support from the countries and the partners. And she also stressed an important point that I completely share your view is for the Secretariat to develop a monitoring evaluation system to evaluate what is going on the ground. Because a GIAHS site today maybe cannot not be a GIAHS site tomorrow if is not maintained as required. Over the past 20 years, we have seen this initiative turn traditional agriculture ecosystems into areas of touristic and scientific value, as well as a corporate flagship FAO program. GIAHS is an outstanding example of sustainability, and it has been referred by several of our speakers, evolving, adapting, and innovating, just as do the agriculture systems that it recognizes. GIAHS sites do not only represent a testimony of history, culture, and heritage. It links people to the planet, as it has been said today. But also, one of the participants reminds us that we have only one planet. And GIAHS address issues linked to climate change, poverty, hunger. It links to local market and facilitate the management of local territories and communities. It represents a unique model of sustainable agriculture, a testament to the capacity of farmers, fishers, herders to overcome the complex challenge of our changing world. As it has been mentioned, we have already 67 unique sites recognized by FAO and more than small and isolated farming areas. They contribute to the climate change, environmental protection and conservation of people, the knowledge of and the diversity. It reduces poverty and the food security and resilience and livelihoods of local communities and beyond. To increase awareness and better understand the dynamic nature, unique values, and the valuable practice nurtured in GIAHS sites, FAO has strengthened partnership with international organizations, United Nations sister agencies, universities, and academia. And this goes very much online with the chair of the scientific group has told us that we need to strengthen our partnership. And this has led to more collaboration and interest from different sectors and key actors in new countries and region. But new partnership is required, particularly with financial institutions, and to strengthen the will coming from our governments. Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, friends, in the last 2 decades, GIAHS has become a big family, and this big family was here today with us to celebrate. And as FAO, we can only wish for this family to continue growing. And we also saw that you have opportunities to make it bigger. I wish to conclude by wishing to all of us happy GIAHS 20th anniversary, with a special thanks to all colleagues organizing this celebration, to Yasmina, who facilitates, and above all, the extraordinary GIAHS communities for leading by example, giving us a model and a vision of a sustainable future, and for helping us achieve better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind. I wish you all a successful celebration, and thank you again for joining us today. Over to you, Yasmina.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director General Maria Elena Semedo, for your closing remarks. Very powerful and inspiring. So this does bring an end to this high-level section of the 20th anniversary of FAO's Global Important Agricultural Heritage Systems Program. And we thank you all for being here. Please remember that the technical session will start at 2 p.m. Central Eastern Time, and you can use the same link. Thank you again, and wishing you all a good break and a very fruitful technical session.